want to throw a bunch of old codgers in a cage and watch them fight. See what happens. Maybe put some money on it. Today, the Codger Burley cage fight. Alright, after my last... Oh no, here comes somebody. Crap. Seriously, I could be out here all day not doing a darn thing. The second I start doing something, everybody wants to visit. Back to where we were. In my travels, and after the last video of the bulk Burley bullfight, the semi-boutique blends, I thought it relevant to do a Codger Burley bullfight, or cage fight. Codger Burleys being something you'd typically find over the counter, blends that have been around a very long time. They're a bit on the older side. They're like common blends, common Burley blends you'd find just about everywhere, and most of them have been around for 100 years or more. So I decided to go with, based off of reviews, recommendations, and my own research and travels throughout the last year or so, the top 4 that I could find that were the most common, the most codgery. So I ended up with Codger Hall, Prince Albert, which I just have this little tin left, half and half, and Sir Walter Raleigh. And I went with the non-aromatic as much as possible. Like, I went with all non-aromatics. Burley, most of them are just Burleys and Bright. Some Bright Virginia thrown in. And so that was kind of the common theme. They're bulk tobaccos, available over the counter, usually available in larger portions like this, and have been around for a long time. So, the codgers of the Burley world. Alright, let's kick this review off with Codger Hall. Codger Hall has been around since the 1890s. It's a predominantly Burley blend. I'm reading this from online. It's crosscut Burleys with a sprinkling of Virginia flake, been around since 1895. Ribbon cut and Burley leaf of good quality, combined in the right proportions. Branded, blended, and manufactured by John Milton Inc. Alright? I don't know much about them other than they're been around for a little while. So, it is, to me, alright, so Burleys are kind of an acquired taste for some people. They don't, you know, they typically tend to be more towards the cigarette side of things, because it is kind of a base tobacco in a lot of cigarettes. And they're really not very complex in their overall makeup and their blend. And I'm not predominantly a Burley guy. I don't dislike them, but I do think they're a good thing to stash and have around. I'm doing most of this review with this Missouri Meerschaum today, or throughout the week as I do this. It is it's not the Country Gentleman. I'm not really sure. I'll look it up, and I just ordered it because it looked cool. And it was one of the polished kinds, so it seemed fitting to go with a Burley and an old cob. This is my actual second or third bowl of Codger Hall. And the first impressions I get on the tin note, definitely get some of that figgy sweetness, that little figgy bread pudding, you know, kind of old school, simple smell to it. Don't get a lot of the Virginia smell out of the can. It just has a simplicity to it, like what's the best way to put it? Like the sound of, you know, at the risk of sounding redundant, it has like a sweetbread smell to it, and that's the closest I can get to maybe like a fig. The room note is about a 2, so about 2 out of 5 on the beard aroma. It's not very, very potent. It doesn't smell bad, but it doesn't really smell good either. It's just kind of a bland, and it can get a little bit on the stale side. But the smoke on this is creamy. Definitely creamy. It lights easy. Lights and packs easy. It's a very creamy smoke. It's a very soothing smoke. I would call this a kicking around the yard, doing yard work type of smoke. Something that's pretty uncomplicated. You throw it in a cob or throw it in a smaller, you know, nose warmer type of pipe. Light it up and off you carry on with your day. Not complicated at all, which is nice sometimes. It's nice to have that uncomplicated experience in the simplicity of just, if you're looking for just a smoke, something to smoke, it's just a smoke, you know, and it's not something you would sit down and really savor. And Thought my camera went off. Sorry about that. Thought my camera went off. So yeah, the Codger Hall, it's very pleasant. Nicotine is medium-ish. It's up there, so it's not something personally that I would smoke every day or all day. It isn't all day. Like it doesn't burn your tongue. I haven't gotten much tongue bite. I'm getting a little tingle from the Virginias, but it's pretty light, mild. Easily an all-day smoke. A little more on the powerful side for nicotine for me that I've noticed, and so kind of where I would draw the line. I wouldn't do it multiple times a day unless I was into that in it for that. I don't typically smoke more than once a day anyway, maybe twice. But if I'm looking for a Saturday morning, Codger Hall, like a Saturday morning yard work smoke, Codger Hall would be a good one. It'd be a good pick. I like that. I'll rank them at the end, my top to bottom picks. I'm not mad that I bought a big tin. I mean, I got myself a big 200 grams or 14 ounce bucket, and not mad about that. All right, let's talk about number 2 on the list, Prince Albert. Now this is the last bit of Prince Albert I have left. It was given to me early on by a friend, a common piper, or a fellow with common interests, fellow piper. It was the first Codger Burley I ever smoked. And overall, I found it to be pretty mild and pleasant. It was very similar in Codger Hall. It's very similar to me in taste to Codger Hall. Yeah, it's simple. It's simple. It has a bit more, instead of just that straight bread and figgy sweetness to it, that bready figgy pudding sweetness, it has a little bit of sharpness to it. There's a slight tang to the smell, not necessarily the taste, but I've smoked Prince Albert in multiple styles of pipe over the last year or so, and I've just never had a bad smoke out of it. It was always simple to keep lit and keep going and really enjoy without much fuss. I won't say I liked it right off the bat. I didn't dislike it at all. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't like when the first time I tried it, I wasn't like, oh yes, I'm gonna do it. I'm a Burley guy, because I was looking for more flavor than that. I was looking for a little bit more excitement than that, and it was just really kind of bland. I was like, well, this is, because I didn't start out smoking Burleys. I started out with some aromatics and some Virginias, and then in English, and those were my first experiences in pipe smoking, and I'd never done it before. The last time I'd actually had any smoking was 15 years ago, with just cigarettes, and I quit. And so it kind of reminded me of that at first. I'm like, oh, it's kind of just bland, and I'm not, I don't inhale, I don't smoke very often, but it had that kind of aroma to it almost of a cigarette tobacco. And it wasn't off-putting, and it wasn't a bad smoke at all. I was like, wow, this is really pleasant. It's easy to keep smoking. And so I tried a few more bowls of it over the weeks, and different pipe styles and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is actually really nice. And it's one of those things that I don't really think about it very often, like when I'm looking to sit down and enjoy a pipe and go for, just get some meditative relaxing and like savor something really, really good and delicious, or try something new. It's Prince Albert's not the one I usually go to. It sits in the back of the cellar and just kind of, sits there and waits until one day I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't had any Prince Albert in a while. I'll throw some of that in a pipe, and those are usually on the days when I'm not going to sit around savoring a pipe as long or kind of experiencing it. I just want to put something in my mouth to puff on while I'm, around the shop doing work or working with my hands or something. And it's pretty rare, but in random, but it does happen. So Prince Albert's the one I've been going to as my just bland Burley, I call it. So it's a pretty important, I think it's a pretty important blend in the lexicon of the Burley, and the tobacco industry and the codger industry overall. It's been around for a very long time. Yeah, stays lit. nice and easy. And it's just enjoyable, simple, very Huckleberry Finn, you know. Does not burn. I've never gotten tongue bite off of Prince Albert, or Codger Hall for that matter, but I haven't been smoking Codger Hall as long. I've only had a few bowls of it, but yeah, Prince Albert, I've never gotten tongue bite. I will say in the beard aroma category, it's about a 1.5 to 2. For me, it may be closer to a 1. 1 being the least favorable after smell in the beard. It doesn't stank like some other ones. We haven't got into straight beard stink yet. I'll cover that in another video on this other one specific tobacco brand. But it does get a little bit of the staleness to it in your clothes and stuff like that, or in your beard if you don't wash it off. So, and I typically go brush my teeth and wash my face after I have a pipe, so it doesn't sit around long. But if I do let it sit around, I can kind of like, you know, it's not the greatest smell. It's not horrible, but it is a 1 insofar as that it's not pleasant and wonderful and creamy and beautiful and that you like smelling. It's a, I'd rather not smell that all day. 1.5 to 2. Let's give it a 2. I'll give it a 2 for the beard aroma. Yeah, Prince Albert. Been around a while. They got really cool tin artwork anyway. I'd like to get me some of them old tins of it. That'd be really cool. Like the metal ones. That'd be really cool to find one of those big old tins. So I'm going to keep poking around the cigar shops and stuff. I'll find one eventually. Alright, let's talk about the Danes now. These next two pipe tobaccos are made by the Scandinavian Tobacco Group. And they are predominantly Burley / bright aromatic types, but they're Burley blends. Number 3, half and half. Half and half. Alright, I heard a little bit about this. Some of it good, some of it bad. I got the pipe, I got the stuff. Fired it up. No. No. Alright, the pouch smells not bad. It's not horrible. But it has a medicinal quality to it. And it's like a synthetic smell to it. It doesn't smell like natural tobacco. And when I started smoking it, I tried it first in my little clay, my German Marcus IV clay, just to try to get a real good taste of the new, of the tobacco itself. And I was pretty much immediately appalled. I'm not gonna lie, from the first light, it lit really well. Really lit well. It smoked really well, like mechanically. Yeah, but the taste was pretty bad. Yeah, pretty bad. Didn't even get through that first bowl, full bowl of that thing. Yeah, there's a weird fake flowery smell to it. Didn't get through the first bowl. Started writing down my impressions. Tried another bowl and a cob. Didn't get through that one either. And let me just read my impressions. Okay. Half and half. Light topping, peppery, mint smell. Okay, got that. Synthetic. Fake smelling. Burley breadiness is there, but not in a good way. Very cigarette-like and not really that appealing. It had a bland, tangy note in the clay, slightly harsh, and it irritated my nose and throat. So that was in the clay, and so I switched to the cob, tried it again, and I just couldn't get through the second bowl. I'm gonna be honest, it just wasn't happening for me. So half and half is off the list. Not one I'll ever buy again. On a side note, if anybody wants a free pouch of half and half, this one will be at my local dump. Alright, hopefully this next one's on to happier and greener pastures. Sir Walter Raleigh. This is the non-aromatic. If you don't know your history about Sir Walter Raleigh, he's basically the man who introduced pipe tobacco, pipes, and Americana, the native type of tobacco, native to America, to the European continent, and he died for it. He got his head cut off for it. And because the king saw him as a political rival, but that's a different story. Anyway, this brand has been around for a very long time. I have high hopes for this one because I have heard much more good reviews than I ever have on Half and Half. And the Half and Half debacle is just... no. Alright, let's get into this. First impression. Okay, it's not my first impression. I sniffed it last night. I didn't smoke it though. Ooh. That wine vinegar breadiness is there for the Burleys. Much more pleasant. That smells immediately better and more pleasant than the disaster of Half and Half ever did. Now some of you are gonna like, Half and Half is awesome, I love it. That's great, that's good for you. Some people do like it. Some people like smoking cigarettes too. I used to like smoking cigarettes, but I'm not that guy anymore, and I just can't stand anything that reminds me of that. Tastes like it. It has that. That's the thing, is Half and Half had, I think it has propylene glycol in it, a coating, which is, I'm pretty sure it's similar or exactly what they put on cigarettes. It's one of the thousands of carcinogens they put on cigarettes to make them smoke better, like more consistently. Man, that packed right up. Nice and easy peasy. So that's kind of where it's like, ugh, you just get that immediate cigarette. Like, I had to brush my teeth twice after that one. So let's hope Sir Walter Raleigh does a better job for us. Getting a little bit of tang there. Yeah, there's a little bit of tang coming off, like a Virginia. Yeah, definitely getting some Virginia tang off of that. That's not unpleasant at all. Alright, so Walter Raleigh. So this is the non-aromatic, this is the normal. Man, it lit right up. Burning clean and true right off the bat. There's some similar notes to Half and Half, but not in a negative way. There's some similar cigarette quality to it, but like a really high-end good cigarette. But that similarity ends pretty quick. It's not. Yeah, I don't know. It's not unpleasant at all. I'm chuffing on it pretty good right now, and I'm not getting any burn, so that's good. There's definitely a peppery spice there. Sir Walter Raleigh. All right. It's not. It didn't. Let me put it this way. This point, by the time I got to this point with the Half and Half, I was already out. Yeah, I was out of the conversation already. So I'm gonna give this another bowl or two over the next couple days. Okay. Sir Walter Raleigh. Continuing impressions. It smokes real easy. It really does. I don't know if it has any of the additives that make it similar to a cigarette tobacco. I don't really taste them. I don't taste that plastic clean taste that I did with Half and Half. It has a slight aromatic quality to it, even though this is just the normal, not the aromatic. It's that peppery, that's that peppery spice. I don't know exactly what it is. Probably just a Virginia, from what I could find. But very classical taste to it. A classical smoking quality to it. Another one that you could easily just put in a pipe, carry on about your work day or morning, you know. Not have to think too much about it, but also still get a little bit more tang and kick than you do from a typical Burley. Like some of the blander Burleys at Codger Hall and Prince Albert, they're really good. They really taste well, but they're just kind of bland. They're kind of flat Burleys. They have that soft, that baritone Burley undertone, and not much else to them. which is a simple smoke, which is a good smoke. But this has got a little bit of that. It almost reminds me of Symphony. Mac Baron. Yeah. It's not quite as high on the piccolo notes. I call it piccolo, that bright. It kind of floats through your tongue into the smoke. Yeah, it almost reminds me of Symphony. That's what it is. And as you can, if you watch the last video, that was my top contender for a Simo Boutique bulk Burley stash, cellar stash. Because of the Virginias, and I love Virginias. I'm a Virginia. I'm still fairly new into the whole pipe smoking thing. It's only been a little over a year, but so my palate isn't probably quite as developed as somebody who's been doing this for a couple decades. But of all the things I've tried, I like to try. I'm not in this just for having a good puff in a stockpile of one thing. I like to try all the different stuff out there. It's like the pokey backy. Gotta catch them all, or gotta smoke them all. So I've tried a lot of different things, and I tend to lean more towards some of the brighter Virginias and some of the vapors and stuff like that. And there's some really good Englishes that I've got onto that I really like, and then there's some that I just don't like at all. Well, not that I don't like them, I just don't know how to smoke them, I don't think. But yeah, Sir Walter Raleigh. All right, we'll put that on the list. So let's give it the breakdown. Well, beard aroma. This one, it has a little bit more of that Virginia smell or taste to it in it. So I'm going to give it, it's a 2.5, 3. So let's go with 3. Not the most pleasant beard aroma I've ever had, but it's not bad. It's not unpleasant at all. It's not as bland as some of the Burleys earlier. It's a little more bright, and I like that. I like that smell and that the essence you get in your beard and you carry around with you for a day. Carry it around for a day or two and see what happens. But all right, here are my final thoughts on the Codger Burley Cagefight. Still working on some Sir Walter Raleigh on this one. I'm going to say that my number one pick of the Codger Burleys still going to be Codger Hall, with Sir Walter Raleigh being a close second. Really close second, like real close, because it has that Virginia tang. But the thing I like about Codger Hall is its simplicity, and it tasted like a cleaner, less adulterated tobacco. And the simplicity of its Burley was kind of pure, and its simplicity of its smoke. I probably need a few more months worth of puffing on these to really get a full feel for things, but I'm not a Burley guy, so I'm not going to go through this whole tub anytime soon. It'll probably take me 3 years or longer. So I can see Codger Hall being a better top pick for me, because it's simpler and it's cleaner, and it could be a good mix Burley. Something I could mix stuff, like if I wanted to put some bright Virginias or a Perique in it and get a vapor going, it would be probably a good base for that. And that was just like, hey, I'm running out of tobacco options, but I want to spice up what I got, so throw it in there with the Codger Hall and see what happens. Number 2 is definitely Sir Walter Raleigh. I don't know how the bulk compares to the pouch, but it's readily available, so that's good. Something you could always try, stash a few pouches. Number 3 is going to be Prince Albert for me, and not because it was a bad smoke. I enjoy Prince Albert, I do. It's simple, a little more cigarette-like, but it's not unpleasant, and it's still simple, but it's a little harder to get. You can't get it in the pouches anymore like this. At least I haven't been able to find. You got to do bulk, and I don't know if they're going to keep making that or what's going on with that. I don't really know enough about the industry to have a valid opinion on that. So that would be my number 3, and probably for mostly those reasons. I mean, it doesn't beat out Sir Walter Raleigh, so it's a real close number 3. And half and half is just not even on the list anymore. Shove that one out the door and we ain't looking back. So that's my breakdown of Codger Burley Cagefight. Those are what my impressions of the tobaccos from a new guy, relatively new guy. My opinions, my impressions, my taste towards it. Everybody's is going to be different. There's some folks I actually have spoken to somebody recently who loves half and half. Absolutely loves it. Smokes it all day. But smokes it all day, and it's, you know, to me it's more like if you're in it for a nicotine kick and that kind of thing, and you're a smoker or current or former, then it would be more along those lines. But yeah, thanks for joining me again for the Codger Burley Cagefight. Happy piping, fair winds, and good friends.